Why do some people walk into a room wearing nothing that costs more than $100 and somehow everyone assumes they're wealthy? No logos, no flashy labels, no obvious price tags, and yet something about them just reads as expensive. Meanwhile, you'll see someone else covered head to toe in designer branding, and instead of looking rich, they look like they're trying too hard. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Wealth was never about the logo. It's about the language your clothes speak before you say a single word. Today, I'm breaking down 7 outfits that quietly signal wealth without a single designer logo in sight. These are the outfits that old money families have worn for generations, the ones stylists use on the world's most photographed women, and the ones that make people assume you come from money, even if you don't. Stay until the end, because the 7th one is the one almost nobody talks about, and it's often the most powerful signal of all. Let's start with the first one. Number 1, the monochrome tailored set. Picture this. A woman walks into a restaurant wearing a single color from head to toe. Not black, necessarily. Camel, ivory, a soft charcoal gray. The blazer fits her shoulders perfectly. The trousers skim her ankle at exactly the right length. Nothing clings, nothing gapes. It just fits. Here's why this reads as wealth. Monochrome dressing requires precision. You cannot hide behind patterns or busy prints. Every seam, every proportion, every stitch is visible. It takes real tailoring to make a single color look intentional instead of boring. And tailoring, real tailoring, is expensive. Not the item itself, necessarily, but the fitting, the adjustments, the eye for how fabric should sit on a body. Old money families have always understood this. They weren't buying flashy clothes. They were buying clothes cut precisely to their frame, then wearing them for a decade. A monochrome set does something interesting psychologically, too. It makes the eye focus on the person, not the outfit. And when people can't quite place why someone looks put together, they usually default to one conclusion. This person must have money. Number 2, the quality outerwear piece. Think about the last time you saw someone in a coat that just looked substantial. Heavy wool, a structured collar. It moved differently than a fast fashion coat. It didn't flap in the wind like paper. It had weight. And weight, visually, reads as value. This is one of the oldest tricks in the stealth wealth playbook. Outerwear is the first thing anyone sees. Before they notice your shoes, your bag, your jewelry, they see your coat. And a well-made wool or cashmere coat in a neutral tone like camel or deep charcoal does more silent signaling than an entire outfit of branded pieces. There's a reason old money families invest disproportionately in outerwear. It's the piece worn the most, seen the most, and photographed the most. A trench coat that's cut correctly, that sits at the right length, that has real structure through the shoulder, communicates something fast fashion simply cannot fake. Longevity, intention, care. And here's the psychological layer. When something looks like it will last 20 years, people unconsciously assume the wearer doesn't need to replace it every season. That kind of stability, that kind of I'm not chasing trends energy is exactly what quiet wealth looks like. Number 3, the leather bag with no visible branding. This one surprises people every time. A bag with a giant logo screams for attention. It says, "Please notice this cost money." But a bag with structured leather, clean lines, and absolutely no branding says something far more powerful. It says, "I don't need you to know." Old money style has always leaned on function over flash. A structured tote, a simple crossbody in a rich, saturated leather. No hardware shouting a brand name, no monogram canvas, just leather that's been treated well, carried well, and aged beautifully. Here's the psychology behind why this works. Humans are pattern recognition machines. When we see obvious branding, our brains categorize it instantly. Oh, that's a status symbol. But when the item has no obvious marker, our brains have to work harder to place it. And in that gap, in that moment of not being able to instantly categorize someone, we often assume the best. We assume subtlety, because subtlety has historically been associated with people who don't need to prove anything. Think about it this way. The people who have had money for generations rarely need to announce it. Announcing wealth is often a signal of new money, of needing external validation. Quiet leather goods, aged gracefully, do the opposite. They whisper.
Number 4, the crisp white shirt. Done right. Not just any white shirt. The one that fits at the shoulder seam exactly where your shoulder ends. The one with a collar that stands up slightly. Structured, not floppy. Sleeves that hit the wrist bone, not an inch too long or too short. This is deceptively simple, and that's exactly the point. A white shirt is one of the cheapest garments you can buy, but a white shirt that's tailored correctly, ironed properly, made from a slightly heavier cotton that doesn't wrinkle into a crumpled mess by noon, that's a completely different story. This is the piece that separates people who understand quiet luxury from people who don't. Anyone can buy an expensive item. Far fewer people understand fit. And fit is the one thing that money genuinely cannot fake if you don't know what you're looking for. It has to be tailored, or you have to be lucky enough to find the exact right cut off the rack. Old money style leans heavily on the white shirt because it's endlessly versatile. Tucked into trousers for daytime, layered under a blazer for meetings, worn open over a simple tank for the weekend. One well-fitted white shirt does the work of 5 trendy pieces, and it never goes out of style. Which brings us to something important. Wealth doesn't chase trends. Trends are expensive to keep up with. Timelessness is the actual luxury.
Number 5, the structured trouser with a clean shoe. Look at old photographs of women who were considered effortlessly elegant. Their trousers almost always had a straight or slightly wide leg, sitting cleanly at the waist, with a visible break at the ankle. No skinny fit denim. No leggings pretending to be pants. Structure. Paired with this, a clean shoe. Not necessarily expensive, but clean. Polished. No scuffs, no peeling soles, no visible wear at the heel. A loafer. A simple ballet flat. A low block heel in a neutral tone. Here's a fact that surprises people. Studies on first impressions have consistently found that people notice shoes far more than we assume, and they use shoe condition as a subconscious marker of how someone manages the rest of their life. Worn down shoes suggest neglect. Clean, well-kept shoes, even simple ones, suggest discipline and care. This is the old money secret nobody says out loud. It was never about buying the most expensive shoe in the store. It was about maintaining what you already own. Polishing leather, replacing soles instead of replacing the whole shoe, buying fewer pairs, but caring for them properly. That kind of maintenance requires a mindset most people don't have time for. And mindset, more than money, is what actually gets read as old money by everyone watching.
Number 6, minimal jewelry with maximum intention. One ring, a pair of small gold studs, maybe a single delicate chain sitting close to the collarbone. That's it. This might be the most misunderstood signal of wealth. Most people assume more jewelry equals more money. But if you study genuinely old money style, from generation to generation, the jewelry gets smaller, not bigger. Think about the classic pearl stud, the thin gold band, the simple watch with a leather strap instead of a chunky metal one. Here's why this works on a psychological level. Excess jewelry can look performative, like it's trying to prove something. Minimal jewelry looks like it's simply always been there. Like it wasn't bought to impress anyone. It was inherited, or chosen once and worn for decades. There's also a practical layer here. Fine jewelry, real gold, real pearls, tends to be simpler in design because the value is in the material itself, not in elaborate detailing that fast fashion uses to distract from cheap metal.
When you see someone wearing one thin gold ring that's slightly worn from years of use, that tells a story no logo ever could. And now, number 7, the one people almost always miss: posture and pacing. Yes, I know this isn't technically an item of clothing, but hear me out, because this is the piece that ties every single outfit together. And honestly, it might be the loudest silent signal on this entire list. Think about how someone moves in a room. Are their shoulders relaxed or hunched forward from anxiety? Do they walk quickly, checking their phone, looking rushed? Or do they move at an unhurried pace, taking their time, making eye contact? Old money style has always been about ease. Not laziness, ease. The sense that you are never rushing to prove something, never scrambling to be seen. Clothes hang differently on a body that stands up straight. A blazer looks sharper on shoulders that are pulled back instead of curled inward. Even the most expensive, most perfectly tailored outfit can look cheap if it's worn with nervous, hurried energy. This is the part almost nobody talks about, because it's not something you can buy. You can buy the coat, you can buy the bag, but posture, pacing, the quiet confidence of someone who isn't trying to convince you of anything, that has to be practiced. It has to become a habit. And here's the twist. This is actually the most accessible item on this entire list. It costs nothing. It requires no shopping trip, no tailor, no investment piece. It just requires awareness. Standing a little taller, slowing your pace by 10%, letting your shoulders drop away from your ears. That alone changes how every other outfit on this list reads on you. So here's what all 7 of these have in common, and this is the real lesson behind today's video. None of them shout. None of them need a logo, a brand name, or a price tag to prove their worth. They rely on fit, quality, maintenance, restraint, and presence. That's the actual definition of quiet luxury. It was never about hiding money. It's about not needing anyone to notice it in the first place. The confidence comes from within, and the clothes simply reflect it back. If you've been chasing the logo, the loud bag, the obvious label, I want you to try something different this week. Pick one piece from this list. Maybe it's simplifying your jewelry down to one ring. Maybe it's finally polishing those shoes that have been sitting in the back of your closet. Maybe it's just walking a little slower, standing a little taller. Small shifts. That's how quiet wealth is built, one intentional choice at a time. If this helped you see fashion, and honestly yourself, a little differently, make sure you're subscribed, because every week we break down the small details that separate loud spending from quiet, lasting elegance. And if you've noticed any of these 7 signals in your own wardrobe already, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know which one resonated with you the most. I'll see you in the next one.